Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of my podcast. Or if you're new, welcome to the fam. My name is Caroline, and I am a junior student, college student specifically, studying the States and just trying to figure out life. It's been a while since I created a podcast episode, so this is very new, and I have a kind of tripod situation in front of me. So it's basically like we bought this thing off of Amazon that's like a tablet stand or whatever that can be used to watch movies and stuff. But I was like scrolling through TikTok just like 5 minutes ago, and I was like, oh, I want to create a a podcast. And then I thought this would be a great kind of mic situation that I had to invent because I don't have a mic yet. I'm trying to be a bit more serious with content creating, hopefully, fingers crossed. We don't know yet, but my goal is for the next 6 months or 3 months for now, I'm gonna try to challenge myself to create at least one podcast episode per week. And then I was also being ambitious and then thinking of writing a blog. You know how like Substack, it's kind of becoming a thing, and everybody's been talking about Substack. I'm sorry, I'm gonna adjust the mic for a second, so if it sounds weird, I'm sorry. This is very weird. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry. So Substack has or is becoming a big thing. It's basically like a modern kind of blog post that people are kind of going on and then, creating their own blog. And I thought, oh, that could be a great kind of endeavor, but I'm not sure yet because, I know that one thing about podcasts is that I actually enjoy creating podcasts and just like talking and venting. But for writing, I don't know how consistent I could be with that, but that's gonna be a project for the future. But for now, I'm just gonna try to create a podcast or at least an episode every single week. And I was also thinking of uploading these episodes onto YouTube, so that means that I will have to put in more effort and kind of edit and then make a thumbnail, whatever. But I'm trying to do a rebrand for my channel, or if I ever have a channel or not, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do a rebrand or not, or just kind of like keep it simple and be in my little comfort zone of the internet. I don't know, but I've been feeling very called out to make podcast episodes and just like upload regularly. So this is gonna be the first episode in a while, and then we'll see how far we'll get from now. But a bit of an update before I kind of get into today's episodes, that life has been pretty busy, and I think I stopped podcasting for I think 6 months or something, or even more. I don't know. So it's been very busy. I just changed my major. We can do another kind of catching up episode later. But I just want to get straight into what I have today in a second. And also, it's been very hard kind of navigating the international student kind of life, especially in terms of finding internships. So that's I mean, that could be a topic that I can write about. That's why I kind of got this nudge to start a blog post. I was thinking that I can make a blog post or a blog about like sharing tips on how to survive basically as an international student, especially a person in STEM. That could be a great thing, but I don't know if I have enough ideas for that niche, because I'm more of a all over the place person. I'm interested in this but also in that, things like that. So it could be a pretty hard thing kind of narrowing everything down. So that's going to be something that we need to discuss for future projects. But I'm feeling very inspired to create something, especially upload it onto YouTube and see how far I can go with that. So that's been life. But for the first episode back, I have been called, I think, to talk about something that I feel like it's been going around for a while, is manifestation, but also specifically the concept of ask and you shall receive, and also being this place of receiving or getting or even having the thing that you desire in the moment, in the present moment. It's like basically the law of assumption. And then if you assume that something to be true, it's gonna come. So for example, if I want a summer internship next summer, I'm gonna have to assume that I already have it for it to come. So that's basically the point. And I feel like this concept has been going around for a while, but it has specifically been resonating with me a lot for the last couple of months, because I feel like I've been able to get and receive many of the things that I ask for. Just to give you a couple of examples, so back a couple of months ago, I was really hoping for an e-reader because I thought, oh, I wanted to get back to reading, but I don't want to spend $150 just on books. And also the physical space of books will take up space, and I live in a duplex and we don't have a lot of space to dedicate to, bookshelves and things like that. So I thought, e-reader was perfect. And then I asked that, and guess what, I got that for my birthday. And in the beginning I was like, oh, I wanted a Kindle, but then actually I got something way better than a Kindle. I actually got a books, which I think that it's actually way more better and more worth it compared to a Kindle, because it's like color and everything. And I know that the Kindle or Amazon just launched their new kind of color Kindle, but I think it's like $300 for a Kindle, and I got that for $220. So that was a big deal. And so that's the first thing that I was like, okay, I ask and I receive. And also, I mean, around this time last year, I was like, I wanted a new necklace because I feel like my neck is pretty bare. And I asked for a Swarovski's one, and I really liked this kind of swan design that they had. And then, a couple of months later, my dad was like, okay, I want to buy you a new thing or a new necklace. And I was like, okay, sure. And then I got it. So it was like, asking and I receive. And then another thing is that I recently asked for money. So during fall break, or even before fall break, I was like, okay, we're in a bit of a financial shortage because we were not very good with our spending at the beginning of the semester, and we were just kind of like spending everything off. One reason could be because this is the first time that we got to live in a duplex, in an apartment style kind of housing, and it's like we have to be adults. And so we were like, okay, we buy this, we need to buy that, oh, that's suitable, things like that. So we kind of ended up going overboard with that. But then I feel like we've been very, very good with money, so I could make another episode on how to slay but still be on a budget, things like that, and the mindset shifts that I've made to be able to reach that point. But long story short, we were pretty short on finances and stuff, and I was like, can I get more money? Please give me some money. And then over fall break I got to work, and then we got paid extra for working during fall break, and it was like tremendously extra. So instead of logging 1 hour, we can log $4.5 for 4 hours and a half per tour. So if I work 2 tours per day, that's like 9 hours, and that's gonna be like, that was a huge amount of money. And I was like, thank God, I'm very grateful, and that money helped me get through everything. And that also taught me the lessons of I need to be smarter with money, and I have been, which I'm very proud of myself to be. So that's another kind of instance that I could think of that I ask and I receive. And also recently, because of that amount of money, I was able to purchase my own camera before the timeline hits. So I had this whole timeline of breaking down, I had to save this much per paycheck to be able to buy the camera before I go back to Vietnam for this winter break. But then because of that money that I got, I ended up buying the camera 1 month or even a month and a half in advance, and I've been very, very feeling grateful for that camera. And it was a great investment, and I feel like everything is just It's just going so smooth. It's been resonating with me a lot, so I thought that I would, do a little episode on this. So those were just some of the instances that I asked and I was able to receive. I want to talk about how you can kind of embody that femininity, but also trust you have in yourself, but also for the universe or whatever you believe in to handle everything. And you just ask, you work hard for it, you make sure that you do everything that you need to do to reach to that goal, and then you just leave the rest up for destiny, for the universe, and just sit back and relax. And that's what I did. I remember when I was like looking for a necklace and even looking for a camera, I would screenshot the exact kind of necklace, the exact design, and also the exact camera with the exact design that I wanted into my camera roll. And then that kind of ended up becoming a reality just like a couple of months later, and that was wild to me. So I had a couple of points written down in my notes here. The reason why I feel like this topic is worth talking about is, first of all, it can be applied for yourself, so asking and receiving in the sense of manifestations, but also asking and receiving for help and for support for the people around you, right? So it can also be applied if somebody struggles with asking for help, or you don't feel comfortable enough asking others for help, for support, or you don't feel like you are worth helping. So I feel like this can also be applied in a self-help kind of self-improvement kind of sense. So that's why I wanted to talk about this topic. So in terms of asking for help, I think so. When I first came to college, I was very intimidated of everything, literally, because I felt like I was an insider, I didn't belong, and I didn't know how to ask for help because that was not the culture where I'm from. So I had to change the mindset. So that's the first thing I did. So changing the mindset from you're not worthy or you're a burden to you are worthy of help. You are not a burden. And actually, people helping you actually benefit themselves at the end of the day as well. So it's a win-win situation. And also, people are happy to help you and people are willing to help you. And also that you are a good person and you will help other people, so you deserve that kind of support and that kind of help in exchange, in return as well. So that's the first thing that I did. So to do that, I think just one way that you can do this is by affirmations. I think the core of everything in terms of self-help is working around and fixing your self-image and your self-identity. So changing certain limiting beliefs about yourself or changing certain negative self-talk patterns, things like that would be very beneficial. So I started listening to affirmations every single morning when I would get ready, do my skincare, do my makeup. I would just put on, I've been enjoying listening to the Wizard List kind of beauty and confidence affirmation, and I really enjoyed it. I feel very rejuvenated, but also it was a great way to kind of wake me up in the morning, and it's not something that's too over the top or too triggering, some things like that, because I know that if I spend the morning, the first thing that I do after waking up would be scrolling on TikTok. That would be extremely triggering for me, at least. I don't know about you, but I've noticed that it would be very triggering. So I would turn on something that's very calming, something get ready with me video, or read somebody reading books. I've been really enjoying listening to authors talking about their writing a story or writing a novel kind of journey, but also listening to how many books I read this month, things like that, my TBRs for the next month whatsoever. So I think that's very soothing. So I'm off topic, but yeah, affirmations or something just very calming would help as well. And then practicing mirror work. So staring yourself in the mirror, staring is a pretty pretty strong word, but looking yourself in the mirror and then repeating, telling yourself that, oh, I look good today. If you like something about yourself today, you should make sure to compliment that. So whenever I notice that my makeup looks good today, I would make sure to say that out loud. I say, oh, my base looks very good today. I love how this kind of lipstick looks on me, or I love how this, I don't know, whatever hair care, hair routine, hairstyle looks on me, or if I put on a very good outfit that I feel very confident in, I feel like I would say out loud, I would say, oh, I look very beautiful today. I feel like I love how this kind of skirt and cardigan, whatever skinny jean combination kind of go together. So I would do that, and then that goes beyond just like looks and appearances, but also if you do something very good or you help other people, say out loud, I'm very proud of me, I'm very proud of myself for doing that. I'm very proud of myself for speaking up. Or if you want to start small, if you want to start asking for help, but you want to start small, then each time that you were able to ask somebody for help, it doesn't have to be a big, thing. Like, you don't have to ask somebody for, if you can write me a recommendation letter, first thing, you don't have to do that. You can start small by asking them, oh, can you repeat what you just said, or you can ask somebody, oh, what time is it, things like that, or what did you do during break, whatever, just something, or just like start asking people. Asking for help is just asking people at the end of the day. So if asking for help is too much for you, you can start by asking people random or asking people in general. It doesn't have to be for help. It can be about anything, and then building up that confidence, and then making sure that after you do something good or something challenging, or you overcome something hard, compliment yourself and then congrats yourself. And I'm getting a bit off topic and ahead of myself here, but then have a reward system. If you said that you're gonna go to the gym and you actually went to the gym, then I don't know, buy yourself a smoothie or splurge on Starbucks, whatever, I don't know, but have something that you enjoy, and then and let that be the reward after you complete whatever you say you're going to do. Same thing, I mean, these tips can be applied to pretty much anything and everything. So that's why I said that the core of improving something or self-help is just working with your self-identity and working with your confidence. So mirror work, affirmations, reward system, starting small could be great starting points. And then I think improvement in one area can also result from improvement from other areas. So if you are very intimidated of asking for help, particularly, right, you can start by improving other areas first. So for example, when I was a first year student, I was very intimidated. I didn't want to ask people for help. I felt like that was a weakness. So that's one thing. And I was very, very intimidated by that. So I was like, okay, there's no way I could, improve this now. So I was like, okay, what other areas that I could work on? And also another area that I was very intimidated by was speaking up in class, because language barrier was something that I still struggled with, but it was a particularly big problem at the beginning. And then I was also intimidated by people looking at me and feeling like I'm put on a pedestal and then just I'm the spotlight. I don't like that. My anxiety could never. So that's something that I struggled with at the beginning, and that resulted in me being completely silent in class. And there were some instances that I was like, I wanted to speak up, but I could not, like, physically. My anxiety would take over and things were just very bad. I feel like I talked about this in one of the previous episodes, like way back. So if you want to, you're interested in what I was struggling with, or I'm still struggling it now, at some point, you can go scroll all the way back and then just look for something that I mentioned with anxiety. I feel like I probably talked about it. So that could be another area that you can work on if you're like me, or I did work on that. So one thing that I did was going to therapy and then working through, because I figured out that anxiety was the root cause of anything, and especially that. So I would work with my therapist and make sure that I improve that. And then 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, I was able to speak up in class. I felt comfortable raising my hands, and even felt comfortable slowing down when I talk, right? I don't have to speed up. I don't have to feel like I'm taking up people's times, or I'm being too much. I'm still learning, but I've learned a tiny bit of how to take up space, especially in an environment where I'm not familiar with. That's something that I feel very proud of myself for, and that accomplishment makes me feel confident. And that confidence kind of trickle down to other areas of myself, and that includes asking people for help. So I feel like, okay, if I were able to speak up in class, if I were able to overcome that, I could also overcome this. So that kind of this problem of not being able to ask people for help kind of becomes very small, and I feel like I could overcome that, and it becomes less intimidating for me. That's something that I did. And so figure out some other areas that you could work on, and then work on those and overcome those. It doesn't have to be something big, right? It doesn't have to be like raising hands in class. It could be going to the gym, right? You don't feel like going to the gym, or you don't feel comfortable working out in the gym. That's also something that I used to struggle with. So coming back to the problem of taking up space, right? Or I didn't feel like I could wear workout clothes because I don't feel good. I feel like they're showing off my imperfections in a way. So I would cover myself up from head to toe with long sleeves and long pants, but that ended up making me overheat, and I could not work out in those. So overcoming that could also be a potential solution. So kind of like working around the problem instead of going directly into it, because that could be pretty overwhelming and intimidating. Speaking from experiences, now that you have overcome, or at least gained some sort of confidence for yourself, you're going to start tackle the problem that you want to tackle at the beginning, which is asking for help. So I would start by coming to my mentors and my advisors. So if you're a college student, you probably will have an advisor or a mentor or an upperclassman that you hang out with, you are a friend of. So go to those people and start asking for help. So your advisors are paid to do so. So my advisor is a professor that I took a course with. So she's paid to do that. So I don't feel as guilty coming to her and asking for help. That's somebody that I started off with asking for help. So find somebody on your campus or in your area whose job is helping other people or answering other people's questions. So come to those, because I feel like that kind of helped me feel less guilty asking for help. Because another limiting beliefs that I had was feeling like I'm a burden to people when I ask for help. So going to those people really kind of offset that limiting beliefs, because in my head I was like, oh, they're paid to do that, so I'm not taking up their time. And then be prepared when you come ask for help. So it's at least in the beginning, I was like, whenever I made an appointment with somebody, or I wanted to come to somebody to ask for help, I would make sure to come prepared with lists of questions and potential scenarios that can go wrong. So let's say I come to my advisor for picking out major or picking out courses for next semester. I would make sure to come there having already made my list of courses that I think would suit me next semester. And then I also would prepare the different reasons why I decided to choose those courses and not the other courses. And then I also would make sure to prepare alternative choices for each of those courses. So if I cannot take one of those, what other courses I could take. So coming prepared and thinking about what potential scenarios could go wrong really helped, especially if you're coming to a friend and asking for questions, since you're not paying them to help you. So being prepared and having every possible question kind of thought out, and then every possible scenario thought out really helps. So especially, I think it could be particularly useful if you are asking somebody for a mock interview. So coming there, having questions first of all, but having alternative questions that you want to ask, and having even less likely questions that you want to ask. Having multiple levels of scenarios could help and makes you feel more confident in yourself and reassure that, I have this figured out. I have everything figured out. So if things go sideways, I still have this and this and this. You have multiple plans. You have plan A, plan B, plan C. So things are not going to be horrible. I feel like this is particularly helpful for people with anxiety like myself. But I feel like, it helped at the beginning. And now that I feel more comfortable just coming to people and asking for help, I don't necessarily prepare that much anymore. I still come prepared, out of respect for the other person, but I'm more open-minded and I'm more kind of flexible to kind of adapt to situations. But I've been there. I was there at the beginning, and these tips kind of helped me a lot. So that's another thing. And then especially in the first couple of sessions, after you've come to that person or your mentor or your advisor, whatever, asking for help, it doesn't have to be a long ass list of 20 different questions, right? It can be 5 questions. It can be even 1 question. As long as you feel comfortable, and as long as you don't feel like you're pushing yourself too much and making this problem seem even more intimidating than it already is, you're good. You don't have to ask them every single question on that list that you prepared. That's another thing. You can save that for other sessions as well. So make this something that's a regular thing. Because one thing for me is that one reason that I think I got anxiety was because I was not familiar in the settings that I was in. Especially that could be particularly true at the beginning of every single semester when I had new courses. I had to take courses in a new kind of classroom environment. I had new classmates. I had a new professor with new coursework, things like that. So that could be pretty anxious. And that's another reason, this uncertainty kind of triggered that anxiety for me. So where was I? Completely lost my train of thought. So it doesn't have to be a long list of questions. Ask how many questions you feel comfortable asking, and making sure that it's a reoccurring things, to build up that kind of familiarity, and you'll get less stressed and less anxious as time goes on. So that's one thing that I did. And then after you've done it, reaffirm it to yourself that it's not that bad. I did that every single time I've gotten out of an appointment. Even with my therapist, I was like, that's not that bad. I did well, or that was beautiful. That was great. I enjoyed that. Things like that. Reaffirming it to yourself once again, saying it out loud, reassuring it to yourself, and then kind of rewire that kind of subconscious limiting beliefs that you had. And then so that's after you've done it, right? But what if before that appointment hits, you suddenly feel anxious, and you suddenly feel like you don't want to come? I would say show up even if you're anxious. Show up even if you're scared, you're kind of over the place, even if you're not prepared that much. Because sometimes I feel like I can never be too prepared, or I can never be 100% prepared for every single situation. There's going to be at least one situation that I did not think of. So you can never be too prepared. So show up, and then if mid-conversation you feel anxious, be honest. Make sure that person knows that you're anxious, And then you could say, I apologize, but I'm feeling very anxious. I apologize for kind of slipping on my words. I'm feeling very anxious today, or I'm still working on this with my therapist. Asking for help is not something that I am familiar with, so please be patient with me. So, be honest about your emotions, especially if that somebody that you think you can trust. So that's why I mentioned in the beginning that go to somebody that you can trust, but also somebody that will give you great advice, so preferably a professor, because they are trained to deal with those situations. So go to those. So be honest about your emotions, and then I don't think it's a big deal. It always seems to be bigger in your head than it actually is. And I feel like if you be honest, they're gonna be very understanding. If they're not, that's on them and not on you. It never is on you. Yeah. Okay, what else? Okay, so that's the first kind of tips that I have for you when starting out. So from small kind of asks, you can move on to bigger inquiries. Like, there's one classic example of when the barista makes a wrong coffee order, or when the person who does your hair kind of cuts your hair the wrong way, or whatever, they messed up the color if you want to dye your hair. What will you do in that situation, right? Then if I were you, I would kindly ask them to redo it. For a coffee order, that can be quick. You can ask them, actually, I don't want this anymore. Can you redo or remake my order? Or if, they forgot to put something in, whipped cream whatsoever, ask that. Even if I spilled the coffee that they just handed me, I just spilled half of it. I was like, can you make me another one? They were like, okay, sure, let me do that. So it's not a big deal. So if you ask, you're gonna receive. And then, some, things like that can be fixed rather quickly, but something as big as, a haircut, that could not be fixed in, minutes. It could be hours. So in that case, you can either be like, can I come back another day? Or can I get a refund? Things like that, because you pay them for their services. So it's also your right to ask them to make things right if they don't the first time. So that's one thing. If that's, already done, you can ask them to redo it. But one thing that I have is to ask before it's too late, right? Especially some things that are as important as a haircut. You have to make sure you ask before if they do anything. Oh, is this how long you're going to chop off my hair? Or is this the color that you're going to dye my hair? Or just like everything. If you feel like asking something, ask. I would rather you ask before it's too late, and then you have to say an extra kind of 3 hours or whatever to fix that. And from kind of repeating that and asking like that, like whenever you feel the urge to ask, just ask. That's what I do. And then from doing that enough time, it's gonna become a repetition. And with repetition, it builds up your muscle memory. Same thing with everything. Like when you do your morning routine, it seems automatic because you've done it for so many times. It's become muscle memory. Same thing. Confidence, self-image, self-talk, any kind of behavior of yours. If you make that a habit, it's going to become so much more easier. So it's going to be hard, at least the first couple of times. But if you repeat that enough times, it's going to be muscle memory. Same thing for ask. So the first couple of times, or the first dozens of times, sounds or seems particularly scary to me. It seems like the end of the world. And obviously sometimes when I ask, I don't get what I receive, which is okay. But those rejections, those are the times that you have to reaffirm to yourself that either what you ask for is not the right thing, or the thing that they can offer, or you're asking the right person. No, sorry, you're asking the wrong person. So don't take things personally. If they say no, just, okay, accept that. And then it doesn't mean that the next person will also say no. You don't know, right? So also, going back to the muscle memory thing, if you ask it or you do this behavior enough times, it's gonna be to the point that you don't feel rejected anymore. I don't know if that makes sense. It's gonna get to the point that, okay, they say no, accept it, and I move on. I'm not gonna be like, oh, they say no, did I do something wrong? What's wrong with me? Could I have, phrased that question another way? Could I have been offended? Whatever. I don't take things personally. I was like, okay, they say no, move on. And if I really want that thing or I really need that help, I'm gonna go ask another person. Things like that. So, and also, it's not like you can only receive help from one person or two people. You have 8 billion people on the planet. Obviously, you're not going to get access to 8 billion people on the planet at once, but that's a lot of people that you can get access to. So if asking for help in real life is pretty intimidating for you, ask people online. We have the internet. So if you are looking for an internship, reach out on LinkedIn. People might not reply to you. That's okay. So cold email, cold call, things like that, people, and that also becomes a muscle memory as well. So start small. It doesn't have to be directly in person at once. It can be gradual, and I feel like that's gradual is something that we should do, because that means that's gonna go in the long run, not just short run. And so yeah, those are the tips that I have for you. I know it's gonna be a bit all over the place, but I feel like I hit everything that I wanted to say. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble for the last 40 minutes. I've had a couple of video ideas written down already, and I'm gonna try my best, fingers crossed, to record on a not daily basis but a weekly basis. And I'm gonna figure out the situation with uploading on YouTube and stuff. And then I do want to make a good thumbnail and then be consistent with this, because the next point in my influencer career is to vlog. I do enjoy vlogging, but I just need to figure out a time that I could edit the vlog and make a thumbnail and then post, and then maintain a social media platform. That can be a bit too much with being a full-time student and trying to apply for internship next summer. But if I enjoy this, I'm gonna find a way. I will. So give me time. Please be patient with me. And so if you enjoy this type of content that I make sure to follow, subscribe, like this video, share, comment, whatever, save it for next time that you need some tips on this topic. Do that, and then I'm gonna see you in another episode, hopefully real soon. But until then, thank you for listening, and bye bye.